glad you're here to listen to this music today. Thank you for being here. So this is a culmination of my studies with master musician Ronnie Malley. And this is part of the Illinois Arts Council Ethnic Folk Arts Master Apprentice Program. So it's a grant that we got from the Illinois Arts Council. So I can study with Ronnie because part of it is having shared heritage. And so also I want to introduce an also awesome percussionist today, and this is like a culmination of our studies together over the past 6 or so months. And so within this grant, not only did we just learn songs, but we learned about, I learned, you taught me.
I learned too.
Together, Ronnie helped me with my Arabic language, pronunciation, comprehension, and we got to talk about the various composers of this music and the artists who are famous for singing this music. I'll be singing for today. And just a general, I would say it was a very comprehensive educational experience where we're not only talking about the background of the pieces and in turn, my heritage that comes to play a lot of times when we're talking about different pieces, the language and the music itself, as well as with music theory, all the stuff that we talk about and think about when we're playing music theory, rhythm, all that sort of thing.
Yeah, I would like to say, first of all, thank you for that. And having Anita as a student, you couldn't have had a better apprentice because she's very, very studious and she was able to really absorb all of this. From the start, I had set some rules that everything we were going to do was going to be in Arabic. So she really committed to reading everything in Arabic. So all of the lyrics that you're about to hear, Anita is reading this in Arabic. She's gained a substantial amount of comprehension, as she mentioned, but also the meaning behind the songs too. And in the process, we just learned a lot. We wanted to play off of strengths that she had in hearing a lot of this music growing up, and also using it, applying it in your dance discipline as well. So it made it all that much more meaningful to work with this. So today what you're going to actually hear are songs from 3 iconic women who came from different backgrounds, but sang mainly in what was really known as the popular dialect, which is Egyptian dialect in Middle Eastern music. And the 3 women are Warda al-Jazairia, who's actually, as her name implies, from Jazair, which is Algeria. You will hear a piece from Sabah. She just goes by Sabah. She was the Sabah, and she was from Lebanon, but she's actually sung in many different dialects, Lebanese as well as Egyptian. And of course, Kulthoum, who was the star of the East, basically, and she was from Egypt. So you're going to hear a little medley of different songs from these singers. But the first piece we're going to start off with is a piece that I grew up really appreciating because of the musical quality. It's a very long song. We're not going to play the whole song for you because that would take about an hour and a half. So we're going to play.
However, I did learn the full
that's what I was going to say.
However,
However, we did take that song as an opportunity for Anita to be able to learn the entire song. And so she committed to it to really build the endurance and the stamina to actually knowing this entire song. So that whole hour and a half song, you committed it to memory pretty much, which is very, very impressive, to be honest. We began this residency and this apprenticeship back in May, but it's actually a continuation of apprenticeships that we've had. This will be our 3rd one, I think, right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very good.
And so in this one, we focused on getting, kind of really pushing the amount of repertoire that I studied with Ronnie. And thank you so much, by the way, Ronnie. It has been an incredible experience, and it's because this is our 3rd time together. We've had the chance to advance. So this time, again, the goal was to push kind of and get as much repertoire in as we could. And so as a dancer. Also, these songs are in the popular idiom, as you said, and I hope you enjoy them.
Andah Aleyk was the name of that song, and it means I call to you. This is another piece that we're going to do right now that is definitely one of those standards by the same performer, Warda, and this is a piece called Batwannes Beek. If you are a dancer, you have heard this song for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do a truncated group. I'll do it.
Oh, okay. will notice, by the way, that unlike me, Ronnie has no music in front of him. He has been studying these pieces of Arabic music since he was a little kid and touring with his family band, the Happy Family Band. And so this is part of his just definitely just growing up. He knows these in his heart and in his soul. So he has all the instrumental parts memorized. He just knows them from his whole life.
Yeah.
Sorry, that is so impressive to me.
It's just repetition. And that's what we really focused on a lot here too. Sometimes one of the things that you learn is not necessarily just the music in front of you, but how to also lead. So sometimes the singer will say, or take you in a different direction sonically, without having even to use words, just a gesture, eye contact, these sorts of things are very important in Eastern music. And so, for example, I just went like this, and I say, okay, we don't have to repeat that part, let's go to the next part.
Yeah.
And it's just really, it's almost telepathic.
Absolutely, and we did talk in this apprenticeship, we talked about the cues and how singers, it's interesting to me, having a degree in music, but of the Western European persuasion, I guess you could say was the focus. Typically, I feel that the band leads the singer sometimes, but definitely in Arabic music, it is a 180, and the singer has to lead the band. So that was part of the very interesting part for me of this apprenticeship was trying to learn the cues and watch videos of the famous divas and see their tiny little cues that they're giving the band that perhaps any member of the public might miss. And Ronnie made me more aware of when that's happening.
Yeah, I might know the song, but I'm letting her kind of lead it to go where she wants to go. She feels like doing another part repeated or something, that's where we're going to go. So let's do one more song from Warda, and this is one of her more famous pieces as well.
This is another one that if you're a dancer, you are going to know it. No ifs, ands, or buts.
I'll shorten the intro. Although I will say, I'm only shortening the intro because we have a limited time here. But when I was growing up learning a lot of this music with my dad and my brother, I almost made it a point of saying, like, there's no way we're going to shorten this. We're going to play the whole thing. And it was really good for me because I ended up learning the entire song and the entire introduction. I didn't want to feel like we were cutting corners. And that's something I try to bring to this apprenticeship as well. We didn't want to cut corners. We wanted to learn the full thing as it is, not just a truncated amount. Because then you can pick and choose what you want. But at least you have something substantial to choose from. So this is Youm Wi Leila, in a day and a night.
Mr. Nidal Hamdan today just came in today for this, and so I really appreciate Nidal coming in and Mr. On the Spot, just being able to play here. I have a tiny little Arabic ensemble in Wadi ensemble, and Nidal has been in since the start, and I really enjoy playing with Nidal. He has a wonderful attitude and a really great friend.
Same here. I'm so proud of what you're doing.
Yes, yeah, this is amazing. This is really wonderful. Music has always been the path that I learned about my culture. It's how I learned language. It's how I learned about other cultures within my culture too. Middle Eastern culture is not a monolith. Just like saying American culture is not one thing. And so you go from one place to the next, and people are very different because their cultures are different. They may speak the same language, but most of the time it's not even the same dialect. So you don't really understand what everybody's saying. But music is one of those things that really brings people together. Even more so than literature, because literature you want to dig deep into, you need to really understand it. But a song just kind of permeates, gets into you, right? And last apprenticeship we did, we were able to actually explore a lot of Syrian folk music and music of Lebanon, which is a little bit closer to Anita's heritage and my heritage as well. But I knew very well, especially because my dad gave me a very healthy dose of Egyptian music growing up. He said, you've got to learn all these Egyptian songs. And so we did. We committed to learning those songs day after day after day. I would probably spend a good 6 to 8 hours a day just in my room memorizing these songs because there was no internet. So I couldn't find any sheet music, and there was no sheet music. There was a cassette tape. You know those things? Magnetic tapes that you put in a device that you hope doesn't eat it up. That's what I had. Yes. And I had thousands of them. But that was also one of the few ways that you can actually get a lot of Arabic music. Because when that transfer happened over into CD world, not all those things got carried over. So there were two ways to preserve it. Either you maintain your cassette collection, or you maintain the songs in an oral tradition. And you keep playing them, and you keep singing them, and you keep bringing them up, and that's how you keep them alive. This is an organic tradition. It's not just a written tradition. So you have to pass it on in such a way. And that's what we've been doing with this apprenticeship. So I'm going to do one more plug to also say we're thanking the Illinois Arts Council for making this possible, and the National Endowment for the Arts, who runs the Illinois Arts Council. This is why the arts are important. It's not for entertainment. It's for preservation. It's for passing on knowledge. So this next piece is a piece by a singer that my father played with once when she came to Chicago, and she is super famous. Like, if you said the word Sabah, she's known around the entire world. Her daughter and her actually owned many beauty salons in Paris and other businesses. So she was an entrepreneurial woman, very entrepreneurial. I don't know her real name, but you'll know her if you see her because she's got this big blonde hair, basically.
So blonde.
And she was like the Dolly Parton, thank you.
Hey,
That's
good,
the best
yes.
one. She was the Dolly Parton of Lebanon. Now, what's really interesting is, like I said before, Egyptian music and dialect was kind of a rite of passage before you can sing, if you wanted to break out, so to speak, right? And this song is actually composed by an Egyptian composer, Ward Gameel, who was a very famous composer from the 60s to the 80s, who was actually married to the singer that we just played music for, Andah Aleyk. And this guy was what Abdul Halim once called the hope of Egypt, because of Amal Masr, because of the profound and prolific amount of music and new music he was creating. So this is a piece composed by Ward Gameel for Sabah, and Sabah actually sang it in the Egyptian dialect. It's called al-Asal, which means like honey.
واشوفك
Teachers, it's sometimes hard to find someone who has this comprehensive knowledge. I was lucky that Ronnie is here in Chicago because, as we talked about earlier, we've been through, we did one where we just focused on the Syrian tradition of Urud. We have talked about folk songs. We're into Egyptian songs now, songs that were popular for dancers. And so I have to say that I'm not sure there would be a lot of teachers who would be able to give me that comprehensive education and would feel good about giving me a comprehensive education. Sometimes that door is locked and you have to have a certain way about you to unlock that door. And so I'm very glad that Ronnie he also has a really good way of kind of translating it for me in my little Western brain, you know? And so I think that Ronnie is kind of the key between those two worlds, and I'm very lucky to be able to spend this time with you, and I don't know of anyone else who could give me this sort of comprehensive education, so thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for being a good student. So we saved, I don't want to say the best for last, but we saved probably one of the most important for last. Om Kalthoum, some people all you have to say is the name, and it represents pretty much the entire Middle East. To give you an anecdote of the importance of this person, she not only served as a performer and entertainer and a keeper of Egyptian culture, she was even dispatched from because of her status in Egyptian culture, she was dispatched as a political emissary for Egypt to restore relations between Egypt and Tunisia. So she walked into the office of Habib Bourguiba, who was president of Tunisia at the time, and walked out, and there was peace between Egypt. And her gift to them was a song called an Upload, which was a really long song. We're not going to do that song today. That's like one of those, I don't know, it's a long song. It's an
epically long
epic song.
opus.
But the poetry in it, because Arabic music is really all about the words. It's the language. To really understand the depth of this music, you have to understand the language. That's not to say you can't appreciate it. You can, but it's that much more so when you actually know the language. Which is why I said we're reading all this in Arabic. You're going to learn all of these words in Arabic. And Anita is very studious. She was taking Arabic language courses and lessons, so a lot of this started to make sense. Because there's a reason, there's an end goal, there's an application to this. You have a reason to learn. So Kulthoum, if there's any name you walk out of here with today, make sure it's Kulthoum. Look up Kulthoum. And she was from Egypt, and she came from very humble beginnings. And her father noticed that she sang very well, or recited the Quran very, very, very well. And so at the time, to this day, unfortunately, there still is this patriarchal society that we have. And so he couldn't just take his daughter around and say, hey, all you sheikhs and priests, or equivalent to priests, look at my daughter, how well she recites the Quran. So he dressed her up to look like a boy. And so she went around, and these people were just enamored by this child who can recite the Quran. And why is that important? It's because a lot of the language and the musical scales that we understand in Middle Eastern music come from Quranic recitation. That's why it's really, really important. When you know that, you can sing all forms of classical Arabic music. This is not different in other traditions, too. Other traditions, if you know the language well enough, it's usually coming from whatever religious institution it's from. So Kulthoum is not to be downplayed, let's just say. But we did pick two pieces that were some of her shorter songs. And what's really nice is this was when she was really in her prime, because when you were in Egypt, people weren't just singers, they weren't just musicians. You were a singer and an actor, and perhaps a composer, or an arranger, or a performer of other sorts, for that matter. And so we're going to do two pieces from her that are the short pieces. But this first one, and they're both composed by the same composer, his name was Ghannili Ahmed. And this piece is al-Ward Gameel. I wish we had more time so I can really translate what these words mean. But al-Ward Gameel is, the flower is beautiful. And it's metaphoric, like the Arabic language. So when you give it to your friend, it represents love. And there's just so much more in there that would take a minute to explain. But here we go. Al-Ward Gameel by Om Kalthoum. Do you want to add anything?
Ronnie is definitely not downplaying Om Kulthoum's importance. I would say, if you have not been familiar with her, let's just put it this way. Oum Kulthoum's funeral, when she passed in Cairo, was one of the 10 most attended funerals in the history of the world. She's in the absolutely. So she was. I think it's interesting that people will refer to her as Kalthoum, right? And so you could translate that as the star of the east. But Kalthoum is a planet, is it not? So she's not just a star; she's a whole planet. She's bigger than a star, right? So anyway.
Bigger to us.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So anyway, I probably, for educational purposes, I'm learning Om Kalthoum. Should I be singing in public? I don't know, but we're in the lesson format, so you need to know Om Kalthoum.
And especially these two. Especially these two. These are a good gateway to her much longer songs. Kalthoum, which is a departure from her really long songs. And the next one is probably the most famous taqtuqa in the entire Middle East. So if you want to know a song from Kalthoum and you sing this one, every single person in the Middle East will know this. And it's transcended generations. This song is called Ghannili, Shwayya. So we need a little help though from everybody here. So Anita, you want to show it to them? How do the words go?
First of all, I want to tell you this is the last song. So thank you for bearing with us thus far. Once again, I want to thank the Illinois Arts Council for even affording us this opportunity. This was invaluable to me as a musician, and I really appreciate all the time that you've given me, extra time and everything. Always coming to our lessons with a giving attitude, not withholding anything, right? And I really appreciate that. So, if you could help me on this one, you guys, all right? Jackie, I think you went through this last week with us. Okay, so she's a pro now.
All right.
All right, so the chorus, okay, you're gonna help me on the chorus if you will. And don't worry, we're all in this together, so don't worry. Nobody's listening to you individually, we're just all listening, okay? So no worries, no nerves, okay? So in the chorus, it's very short, it's only 2 lines. The 2 lines are Ghannili, Shwayya, Shwayya. Can you say that? Ghannili, Shwayya, Shwayya, Shwayya.
Nice.
Yes! No, it's
I think we
going
have our head chorus.
Yes!
She's
Ladies, I'm counting on you.
So yes, if you can say it together, Ghannili, Shwayya, Shwayya, Ghannili, khud aynay. So that's the second line. So khud aynay. Can you say khud aynay?
Khud aynay.
So Ghannili, Shwayya, Shwayya.
Ghannili,
my arts council. Thank you to our accompanist and friend and bandmate and photographer of this and and the chorus that we brought with him today. Thank you all.